The Jewish Channel's Week in Review. Palestine, Turkey, and Iran get attention from Obama, Netanyahu, and Kerry. Shia LaBeouf talks Jewish, and more of the Jewish news that's changing your world right now in this episode of the Week in Review. Hello, and welcome to the Jewish Channel's Week in Review. I'm Stephen I. Weiss. It has been 2 weeks since President Barack Obama's trip to Israel and Palestine, and the echoes are still reverberating. In a 3-hour meeting on Tuesday, Secretary of State John Kerry and Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu discussed the possibility of resuming peace negotiations between Israelis and Palestinians. Netanyahu said before the meeting,
"I'm determined to not only to resume the peace process with the Palestinians, but to make a serious effort to end this conflict once and for all. This is a real effort, and we look forward to advance in this effort with you."
Of course, Netanyahu's newly seated coalition government contains at least two elements strongly opposed to a Palestinian state: the settler-linked Habayit Hayudi party of Naftali Bennett and the more far-right members of Netanyahu's own Likud Beitenu party, who achieved new prominence in party primaries last year. At the same time, it perhaps contains more moderate counterbalance than most right-wing governments in the parties of election runner-up Yair Lapid's Yesh Atid party and Tzipi Livni's Hatnuah party. Livni has specifically been given the Israeli-Palestinian negotiations dossier. But another hot topic on the Israel front is Iranian nuclear development. In an interview with Israel's Channel 2 News, Obama declared a point of no return by which Iranian nuclear development would have to stop before it could obtain a nuclear weapon, saying it would be, quote, a year or so. The so-called red line is a point of some difference of opinion between Israel and the United States, with Netanyahu having previously asserted that his red line would be this spring. Many military experts have suggested that part of that difference is due to the United States' more advanced weaponry, with so-called bunker buster bombs developed by the U.S. able to reach nuclear development sites that are further underground than what can be reached by current Israeli ordnance. But Obama's statement about his red line drew no critical response or protest from Netanyahu over the past 2 weeks. Before Kerry's meeting with Netanyahu this week, Kerry addressed the concern over Iran.
President Obama could not be more clear. Iran cannot have and will not have a nuclear weapon. And the United States of America has made clear that we stand not just with Israel, but with the entire international community in making it clear that we are serious. We are open to negotiation, but it is not an open-ended, endless negotiation. It cannot be used as an excuse for other efforts to try to break out with respect to a nuclear weapon.
In addition to handling forward-looking negotiations and threats, the president's trip also turned back the clock on Israel's relationship with Turkey. Turkey had cut off relations with Israel in 2010 after the IDF's operation to keep the Mavi Marmara ship from breaking through Israel's blockade of Gaza, which resulted in 9 dead civilians on board that ship and several injured Israeli soldiers. After Netanyahu would not apologize for the incident, relations with Turkey had gotten so bad that at one point the Turkish military changed the software on the U.S.-supplied fighter jets to recognize Israeli assets as a foe instead of as a friend, so that the jets would be able to fire upon Israeli targets. But in some telephone diplomacy conducted in Israel, Obama got the Turkish Prime Minister and Netanyahu to reconcile after Netanyahu actually did apologize for the nearly 3-year-old incident. While all of this activity has certainly increased the goodwill toward Obama from those who lean right on Israel issues, Obama clarified in a speech that it's actually burnishing Israel's reputation that is the task at hand.
Given the frustration in the international community about this conflict, Israel needs to reverse an undertow of isolation. As more governments respond to popular will, the days when Israel could seek peace simply with a handful of autocratic leaders, those days are over. Peace will have to be made among peoples, not just governments.
But on the topic of burnishing Jewish reputations with famous faces, actor Shia LaBeouf recently sat down with Meredith Gansman to discuss his new movie, The Company You Keep. Here's her report.
Jewish movie star Shia LaBeouf is often in the media's eye, but in the new political thriller, The Company You Keep, in theaters now, directed by and starring Robert Redford, the tables have turned. LaBeouf plays Ben Shepard, an investigative journalist who exposes Redford's character, Jim Grant, an underground 1970s anti-war radical fugitive wanted for murder. It's a nail-biter of a race to reveal the truth, clear a name, and rewrite history before it's too late. I got to sit down with LaBeouf at the movie's press junket last week, and we talked about everything from how he enjoyed Passover to playing a journalist and working with the ever-handsome Robert Redford. On the heels of Passover, you were just saying to me how you are enjoying the holiday, a difficult holiday for some to enjoy without observing.
Right.
Tell me.
I've been enjoying it without observing it. I have been vicariously living through my mother, who does do the diet and the traditions and the prayers. And so I've just been sort of making my daily phone call, like, Ma, did you do your routine today? Okay, cool. You're doing it for the tribe, right? For the family, you know? She does it as a we thing.
Okay, gotcha.
She prays in a we manner, not a me manner, you know?
Very generous.
I think more mothers should do that on this holiday.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Any traditional foods that you like?
I like lasagna during Passover, personally.
That is an interesting choice. I hear you, though. I miss lasagna during Passover, so I can relate.
Yeah.
So talk to me, with this movie, you got to put on the journalism hat. I feel very kinship with this. How did you feel putting on the journalism hat?
Different kind of journalism. A bit more aggressive, right?
Yeah.
Crime journalists.
Yeah. Not one I get to do.
No. You're a sweetheart. These dudes are like safari hunters.
Yeah, it's tough.
Different.
Yeah,
cutthroat in a different way.
So what'd you think about that?
I think it's one of the most aggressive dog-eat-dogs industries I've ever seen, more so than an actor or even a boxer. It's really cutthroat. You know, morals and ethics and things like that, you know, they can really get tossed in the air.
Yeah.
Like, where does the story stop and the humanity begin? Where do you make these choices?
All the Jewish mothers and the TJC bubbies want to know, are dying to know, are swooning to know what Robert Redford is like.
Oh man, he's the sexiest man in the whole world, you know? I remember my mother calling me asking if she could get a set visit, you know? And I know what she's trying to do there.
Did you bring her to the set?
No way. That would have been horrible. It would have been, you know, embarrassing. Yeah, he tells me he's got a big Jewish female fan base.
I think he's got a big female fan base in general. Yeah, exactly.
In general. He's just very suave, you know? I could totally see how not just Jewish women, but any women would fall for him, you know? He's poised, you know? He's strong, very strong, and pleasant.
Must have been a nice person to be around.
Incredible person to be around.
Yeah. For more from Shia LaBeouf and the company you keep, tune into the full broadcast version of The Week in Review.
Thank you, Meredith. Also this week, anti-Semitic vandalism in Brooklyn caused alarm. Meredith Gansman also has that story.
On the heels of Yom HaShoah, a day to remember the Holocaust, an incident of anti-Semitism filled residents of a Williamsburg, Brooklyn neighborhood, many of them ultra-Orthodox, with fear and sadness. On Monday afternoon, 11 mezuzahs were set on fire at the Taylor White apartment at 85 Taylor Street. And the arson didn't stop there. Just blocks from Taylor Street, another burnt mezuzah was found on the 13th floor of 130 Clymer Street. The NYPD Hate Crime Task Force is investigating the crime, and on Tuesday night released surveillance footage photos naming 35-year-old Ruben Ublies as a suspect responsible for the burnings. He is now in police custody, but reportedly denies the charges. Councilman Stephen Levin represents the Williamsburg district and shared his eyewitness account of the damage.
It seems as if either someone used a lighter or actually somebody might have taken some material like paper or cardboard, inserted it behind the mezuzahs, and then burned it that way. And yes, they were ablaze. They were on fire. Some of this was a very deliberate act, it was premeditated, and it was meant to inflict a lot of harm and damage to property and emotional pain on a community.
Rachel Hoffman lives at Independence Towers at 130 Clymer Street and was shocked to hear that her building was also vandalized.
I live on a floor with 6 of us. I'm the only Jewish person on that floor, and I haven't experienced anything hateful, and it would be very scary to think that it might happen.
However, one area resident who preferred not to give her name said she felt tensions growing between the ultra-Orthodox, African-American, and Latino communities.
The Jews doesn't respect the black or the black. It doesn't you treat them nice, they're always beautiful and sharing and caring. What we are living in a facility where we have to share it together.
Many of the residents living in the Taylor White houses and in Independence Towers are Holocaust survivors.
One woman said to me, this is how Kristallnacht felt like.
For more from the mezuzah burnings in Williamsburg, Brooklyn, tune into the full broadcast version of the Week in Review.
That's all for this week. From all of us here at the Jewish Channel, be well. The Jewish Channel is available on cable. Time Warner Cable Channel 528, IO Optimum Channel 291, RCN Channel 268, Bright House Channel 330, Verizon Fios Channel 900, Cox Channel 1, Frontier Communications, and now on Comcast Cable in the on-demand menu under Premium Channels. For more information, visit tjctv.com.